Welcome to the Hannah G Knits podcast. If you're new here, I'm Hannah, and I'm so glad you're watching. I am sharing a project updates video for you today. That's where I talk about what I finished, what I'm working on, and some plans I have for the future. Today I have this as my finished object. Last week I shared that it was done, but it was still drying, and I was hesitant to try it on. This is my Crail Cardigan by Rebecca Clow of Creabea knitting podcast. I am test knit this pattern for her, so it's still in testing right now. I shared that I was just not sure about it because of the fit, mostly. It's such a beautiful design, but how it ended up fitting me is just a little bit different than I had in mind. But I hadn't tried it on yet in the last video, and I've tried it on now, and it's definitely a different silhouette, but I am committed to making this be part of my wardrobe. I just really want to love it. I love the honeycomb. I really do love the texture and how it looks. I just think it was a little smaller than I intended. So I'll put a picture of me full length wearing it. I do really, really love it. And it's so warm and light at the same time. I used Pearl Soho Good Wool and I held it double. So I previously frogged a cardigan that I had knit years ago and wanted to make a new cardigan with that I would actually wear. It's sort of ironic because that cardigan was too small and I couldn't button it anymore. And so I wanted to frog it into something I could wear and button. And it's like just funny. I actually can't button this because the buttons are too big. I think maybe I just did my yarn. These are yarn over buttonholes, and I think I just did them too tight, and yeah, they won't go around the size of button that's recommended at all. So I might switch these out for toggle buttons if I ever want to button the top one, but I really don't envision myself buttoning the whole thing because it's quite tight and that's just not as much my style. So I really do love it. I think if you're going to knit the pattern, I would recommend really checking the finished measurements for your size and then making sure that's the size you want it to be. That should be obvious, but I think I'm so used to picking I always knit the second size or I always knit the third size and just picking it and then not checking to see is this finished bust measurement going to be what I'm more comfortable with. I also will say that I modified the sleeves to only do half the amount of decreases, so I spaced them out more, and I still feel as if it's quite a fitted sleeve on me. I do have a shirt underneath this, but that's how I would wear it mostly anyway. Yes, overall, I do think it's a beautiful, beautiful design. I am happy with it now. I think I've been wearing it more as a put on when I'm cold in the house, a little house coat, and that has been quite nice because we're at that point where I don't know if this happens to you guys, where it's not cold enough to turn on the heater, but it's still quite chilly in the house. It's 64 in the house, but it's gonna warm up throughout the day. So when we wake up, it's 64 Fahrenheit, but then by the end of the day, the AC comes on because it's so hot outside. It's still quite warm here in the afternoons, 75, 80 Fahrenheit. So this will definitely come off by noon. I'll probably have to change my turtleneck as well, but this morning it was quite chilly. Anyway, that is more info than you guys needed. Finished object, now for some works in progress. I talked about this maybe in my last episode, but I am working on a sample knit that's consuming most of my knitting time. It's at least an hour or two every day, and that's most of my knitting time that I have. So I am working on that, and I believe I'm about 2/3 of the way done with it, so I'm hopeful that I can finish it in the coming week, mail it off, and then I'll be done with that and I can get back to my personal knitting. I do think that fall is prime knitting season, so it's a little bit tricky to have a sample knit. I think it's actually good for me because then it keeps me from casting on everything, to have a sample knit in this prime fall cooling down season. But I'm super grateful for my sample knits because they obviously I get paid for them, and so it's like a job, and I'm grateful whenever I can get a job and it's for someone that I really admire and look up to in the yarn industry or fiber industry. So I am grateful for that, but it's taking up a lot of my knitting time, so I haven't made a ton of progress, but I do have this is a new work in progress, and it is the Emery Pullover and Vest. I think they go together. So I actually printed out the pattern for this one. I haven't done that in ages. Actually, like taking notes. I don't want to show you the charts, I guess, because it's a paid pattern, but I'm taking notes on them to like remember where I'm at, because it's one of those cable patterns where the cables are like, what's the term, asynchronous or something. So you cross the cables at many different points. The charts have like 24 rows, and some have like 10 rows, and some have like 4 rows. So it is a little tricky to remember where you're at, so I have to write it down every time. But I'll show you guys where I'm at so far. This is the back. After I finished this, I only wanted to cast on cabled projects. I was like, I missed this. I used to knit a lot of textured things, or I guess cabled things, years ago, and then I leaned more towards like the stripe or color work. And then after making this, I hadn't knit a project like this in years. I was sold. I was like, my next project has to be cables. And this, I'm not worried about finishing at a certain time. I'm not anxious to wear it. I really picked it solely because of the texture. I have a tendency to like purchase patterns when I see them, and I'm like, I want to make that and buy it. But I don't really need to buy any more patterns right now. So I was just scrolling through my Ravelry library to see what patterns I already had that had cable texture. And this one came up, and I thought, okay, I'm going to make this. So this is what I'm working on, and I'm using Piece Fleece worsted. I'm knitting it right off of a sweater that I frogged. I only made like half of this sweater before I realized, I don't know if my gauge was just way off, but it was like, there was probably like 20 inches of positive ease. It was not going to work out. I don't know what went wrong, if I just was knitting the wrong size on accident or something. So I'm just knitting it right off of the sweater and into this vest. So I did connect the fronts, and I'm working on that a little bit. I knit the neckband, and unfortunately it's like really tight over my head. I don't really know how that's gonna work. It's just really tight on my head. I think maybe blocking will help, or I'm going to have to frog the neckline and just pick up more than recommended for the stitches. I honestly think it was 1-to-1, so I just pick up more than that, or create some, or knit less, maybe do like half an inch of ribbing. I'm not sure, but I am really enjoying the pattern. It's not necessarily super easy to understand at the beginning. I felt a little bit like out of my comfort zone, and I feel like I'm a fairly definitely in between like intermediate and advanced in terms of knitting, at least in my willingness to try something in knitting. And so when I was struggling to understand the pattern, it just made me think like, oh man, I'm not going to say this is beginner friendly for cables. I felt like this one was. This felt very approachable for a cable project, for, if you're wanting to adventure into cables. I would say this one. This one, just from the get-go, felt a little bit trickier. Now that I'm working on it, it's fine, and I don't even have to look at the charts or the pattern anymore, but at the beginning it was tricky. So this is more of like a process knit than necessarily a product knit. I don't know that I really need a gray slip over, but I'm just really enjoying knitting it. I think I might go back and knit more length on here, just because, I don't know, it feels like with the ribbing maybe it's going to be a little tight at the underarm. On Joji, it's not. Oh, did I tell you this was by? This is a Joji Locatelli pattern. It's not that tight on her underarms, but I feel like maybe our bodies are a little bit different. Like she is more willowy, perhaps. I think like I might benefit from some more length in the underarm. But I don't know. I have to decide to weave in more ends. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna knit this until I reach here, and then try it on and see like what that would look like. But yeah, I am really enjoying it. I'm just doing a few rows a day of the cable. Like maybe I'll do like okay, I'm gonna work on this until I cross this cable, and then I'll be done for the day. So it's going slowly, but it's a slip over, so I'm not like thinking it will take forever. It's also like worsted or Aran weight, and so again, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna feel quick for the visual effect it gives, because it's gonna look like I spent years on it because of the cable work, and so far I haven't. So I'm feeling like mid about it because of pulling it over my head was really difficult. And so I'm wondering if it's going to be the same way with the underarms. I don't want it to be like that on my underarm. So we'll see. I'm feeling mixed about it, but since I've used that piece fleece, I've tried to use that piece fleece so many times, and I frogged it so many times, I'm like, what's one more frog if I have to do it again? So we'll see how that goes. Okay, my next work in progress is actually more of a work getting started. There's not quite a lot of progress, but I posted this on my Instagram a few days ago. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen it, maybe, if the algorithm showed it to you. But I asked for help choosing a pattern for this yarn. I have this gorgeous Woolberry natural DK yarn, and yeah, it's pretty true to how it's picking up. Maybe it's actually a little bit darker. This is Woolberry Natural DK, and the colorway is New York in the fall. It is DK weight, 100% non-superwash merino. Yeah, it's gorgeous, and I got it maybe last year when they did a fall collection, like a New York rom-com collection. I feel that it was one of those. I think it was inspired by maybe one of the classic movies, like You've Got Mail, like Don't You Just Love New York in the Fall? I think it's like that. That was my Meg Ryan narrator voice. Anyway, I really want to use this. I don't know. After I finished this, which was a test knit, it felt like it was, I had to finish it by a certain date, and then I'm working on my sample knit. After I finish that, I want to have just like this like dopamine, like this is totally for me, this is fun, and I want it to be out of this yarn. I'm totally ditching my Make 9, and I'm fine with it. It's just beautiful, and I want to wear it immediately. I was trying to decide between 3 different patterns. I had the Friendship Pullover by Amy Sure Makes, Tulip Guernsey Sweater by Midori Hirose, and Prospect Pullover by Tori. Those were the 3 patterns I was trying to decide between. The Instagram poll Prospect Pullover was the winner, and I don't remember which of the 2 came next. It was actually quite close. I have the Friendship Pullover and the Tulip Guernsey pattern in my library. Like I said, I just love collecting patterns, apparently. And I have not a lot of time to knit them all, I guess. So I have both of those already in my library. I think Amy may have sent me the Friendship one. I don't know if I worked on that or if they just sent it over. But anyway, I couldn't decide what to make. So I put it out there. You guys helped me out with the Prospect Pullover. That might be recency bias though, because it just came out and it is stunning. And a lot of knitfluencers test knit it. So I have seen it a lot of places. I went ahead and swatched for the Tulip Guernsey because that has been on my list the longest of wanting to make it. Now I didn't block it because as I knit this, I just knew it wasn't big enough. This is not a 4x4 square, I could just tell. So I also don't know that I love you can't see it too much, but it's quite open, and I want it to be a little bit denser. This was on a US 9, and I think I would just want it to be more dense. The beauty of that pattern is I see that a lot of people hold it with like a fluffy yarn, either like the recommended yarn is linen quill, or with like some sort of mohair, and it just gives this like gorgeous fluffy, like a little bit muted cables. So I kind of think that I crossed that one off. I'm going to save that pattern for a different yarn. I have a recommended yarn, so maybe I'll use it. But then it was between Prospect Pullover and Friendship Pullover, and I just really can't decide. I love them both. So what I realized though is having yarn called New York in the Fall, it might be a bit of a missed opportunity if I did not make a Tori pattern with it. If you aren't familiar, she lives in New York, and all of her patterns are named after different places in the city. All of her pattern names are inspired by New York City, I believe. I haven't done a deep dive into this, but just from like testing some of them or just seeing them pop up, I feel like they are. So having like a New York yarn, I feel like I need to make a Tori pattern. To me, she is the thing I think of when I think of knitting in New York City. I would think of her and her pattern. So I think I'm going to choose that pretty much for that reason, that I need to make something New York inspired with the New York yarn. So I'm thinking prospect pullover with this. So I need to swatch it. That'll be my next step. And then I'll probably wait to cast on until I finish my sample knit, just out of being a responsible person. But truly, I may not do that. I have a few other things in terms of like Hannah G Knits knitting design to work on. I have been swatching for my upcoming pattern launch. I am launching a sweater for kiddos. It's called the Initial Sweater, and it's meant to be a pun. One of my knitting friends, test knitters, followers pointed out that it could be like a double meaning, sort of like initial sweater, like this is the first one you make, or initial sweater, like it's intended to be embroidered across the front. And so like my sample has an initial on it, like an O. It has an O on it. So I thought that was quite fun when I was bouncing around name ideas and someone said that, and I thought, yes, because I want this to be super beginner friendly. My test knitters have been really instrumental in helping me make it geared towards beginners. So putting links everywhere, adding lots of, in my patterns, I always have a section that says note from Hannah, and it's usually just like a tip or something that I find helpful in that section. So lots of notes from Hannah, lots of links like up at the front, links in the middle of the pattern when you might need them, things like that, of just trying to make it really, really welcoming for any kind of knitter. So I am working on a few swatches, just like more for the content than anything, of like my test knitters did this as well. I hadn't thought of it. So this is all thanks to them. Trying out like the initial or whatever tactic you want to use to personalize your knit. I include ideas for embroidery, crochet, things like that, but trying it on your swatch first, and then you get the idea of what it'll look like on your sweater. So I'm definitely going to do this on the swatches. I have one in the round, one flat. I think I'm going to make one more because I feel like 3 is better. So those are in progress. This is obviously unblocked. It's quite floppy, but that's something I'm working on. If you are not on my newsletter, please sign up below. I recently switched from just regular newsletter to Substack for my own ease of writing and getting them out to you, and also having them be searchable and cataloged for you guys if you want to go back and look at something like, oh, I got an email from Hannah with something in it. Test calls, pattern launches, all of that will come through Substack instead of through my previous email host, but it will still come straight to your inbox, because if you've already given me permission to email you, I just moved all of your info over and it'll come straight to your inbox. So you guys don't have to do anything, but if you're a new subscriber, you can subscribe below to my Substack, and then that's where I'll kind of give all of the launch information, and you can come back and look at it later. If you want to make this pattern at a later time, then you can. So anyway, initial sweater coming in a few weeks, and sign up for my Substack. I have one more work in progress. This is my car knit. I've actually made some progress on it though, but I did really think I was going to finish it. I think in a few, maybe last progress video, I said like, oh, maybe I'll finish this tonight or tomorrow. I have not. I'm sure you could have known I was not going to finish it. But I've just been working on this like, as I'm in between things or knitting in the car. But now I've been bringing my sample knit everywhere, so this one's taken a little bit of a wayside. But I do think I'm ready for the toe now, and that will be nice. I talk about it a lot in my Socktober video, so I won't add any more details. But okay, next, acquisitions. I have a gift. You guys, actually, it's hiding right here in plain sight. I was going to do a reveal, but it's been here the whole time. Well, I recently had a birthday, and I was given this beautiful hot water bottle cover. Oh my gosh, it's looking so good on the camera. it was such a sweet feeling to be considered knitworthy as the primary knitter in my immediate family, but then my extended family, my sister knits as well. So she does some gift knitting. I do some gift knitting. My brother-in-law has picked up knitting. He does some gift knitting, but I'm like the knitter, so I'm the one gifting things. My sister made me a scarf number 1 a few years back. That was like my favorite pattern at the time, and she made me one, and it was so special because I was gifting them to everyone, and then she gifted me one. So this is me being gifted a knit, and it's for my brother-in-law. He made this, which was so special to me. It's just really sweet to be like, wait, I know what it means to make a gift knit and to spend time on that. And someone is making that for me and spending that time on me to show me, that they think I'm deserving of that. So my sister said it was a little bit of a team effort. There were some parts she helped with, but this was his first color work project. And he did so good. It's got both sides. And I don't know if he used a pattern or if I think he may have. I'll have to ask him to remind me the name of it. And then I think this yarn is maybe Sorella that my sister got from a sock swap a few years ago, or from something like that. I don't think she bought it, but it was gifted to her. So it's a hot water bottle cover, and I love it. It's going to be so cozy for the fall, and it's a mini. He gave me the hot water bottle to go with it, and yeah, I like opened it up and I was like, oh my gosh, I am knitworthy. Like, what a feeling. As a knitter, I know what that means. And so yeah, it was just very sweet. I'm quite excited to use it, and I think it turned out wonderfully. So thank you to my brother-in-law for this birthday gift, and I will absolutely be using it this fall and winter. I love my hot water bottle. I have a big one, and I haven't made a cover for it yet. And yeah, so now I have like this mini one. I don't use it because it's just like a piece of plastic, and I don't like that. And so having this little one with a cover, I think, will be quite nice. Okay, that's all for my yarny conversations. Now I'm going to talk about my other hobbies. I have reading and baking. First, baking, quick. These rolls I have been making on repeat. I made them yesterday. For some reason, they were better yesterday. My husband said, these are the best rolls you have ever made. I have made a lot of rolls in the past 5 or 6 years of really trying to bake most of our like breads that we eat. And so it was funny. Now I will say my husband is not very particular about his food. So they may or may not be the best rolls I ever made. I did think they were good. I'll put some pictures in of them, and I was quite proud of like the rise on them. The recipe is interesting. It's only 1 hour for the rolls. I have made rolls where it's been like 2 days work of prep and rise and prep and rise and rolling and fridging and all of that. And I have made some rolls like this that are just an hour. And for some reason he likes these hour ones, so that's great. I am sort of testing them for Thanksgiving because I usually make the rolls for Thanksgiving, and that feels like a responsibility because everybody loves a Thanksgiving roll. And anyway, so I've been testing out a few different ones. We have 2 egg allergies in our, my family, but also like extended family. And so I want them to be egg-free. This recipe calls for an egg, but my friends, if you are egg-free or vegan, I just left the egg out, and they were still the best rolls my husband thought I'd ever made. So I will put the recipe in below, and yeah, they were just fun to make. And I think really easy to make with a kiddo too. The dough is super forgiving. It's not wet or anything like that. So if you want to help teach your kiddo to roll a roll, I think this is a good one. Okay, on to my books. My last video I talked about if I was going to finish Beartown. No spoilers, but I did not finish Beartown. I do think I'm going to, but my it was time to turn it in, and I couldn't get renew. I couldn't renew it anymore, and so I had to return it. And I just think it was for the best right now, but I would like to go back and finish it. I do think I will finish it. It has so many beautiful storylines intertwined and the quotes, and I've really been enjoying the author's writing lately. But this time I am not finishing it. If you finished it, let me know. If you've read the whole trilogy, let me know. I I don't think I'll read the other 2 books. But then I went to my want to read on Goodreads, and I just picked, one from the top of the list, and it was available. So I just pressed play on my audiobook, and that was a mistake. I will read the back of the books now because I don't remember why I saved it. Someone probably recommended it. It was this book, and some people are really into it. It's winning a lot of awards, but no, it's a novel about a family, and this man really details his account with addiction and how that affects his family life. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm pretty sure it's probably on the back of the book, and there needs to be some content warnings. So it is quite tragic, and he actually spends most of his life after that incarcerated, and it details his journey through incarceration. Yeah, no, I returned that immediately after the really sad part started happening. Yeah, because I could see where that was going. So that was definitely a miss, but I have gone back to one that I paused earlier in the year, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. I know, this is also a really sad one. It follows a young woman named Salama and her journey in Homs, and as she works as a pharmacist / surgeon through the crisis that is happening there, and eventually how she plans to leave and hopefully go to safety in Europe. Also very, very sad. I would say I'm not at the end yet. I can also see how this is going to unfold. But it feels hopeful, really hopeful, and maybe that's why I'm continuing to read it. I have to read it slowly, though, because it is just, it feels like a lot. It feels like a lot. I think it's so timely, though, because this is, while it's a fictionalized account, this is absolutely something that people have lived through and are living through right now. So I do think it's a timely read, and that's why I wanted to read it, to sort of expand my view of life and what it's looking like for people around the world. And wow, it is doing that. So if you're looking for that, I would absolutely recommend it. It's a beautiful book, but it is a tough one to read. Like, usually I will turn on my audiobooks when it's just me and my daughter in the car because she's a baby, but not this one because I just it's so descriptive, and there's a lot of violence, and she works in a hospital, so you can imagine the descriptions that are in the book, and a lot of times I will skip them, but I'm like, I know she's a baby, but I don't want her to listen to this, so I have to turn on some music when we're together in the car on our own. But it is, again, a beautiful story. I am intending to finish it. I am about 3/4 of the way through. I will let you know how many stars I give it next time. And then also, I need a recommendation for a book that's not serious like this. Because, I need some, fiction or contemporary fiction, something like that. Some Emily Henry Rex. Things like that. I need to get out of this, really tragic books that I'm reading. But yeah, so those are my books and my bakes for lately, and all of my knits. So if you have made it this far, thank you. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and leave me a comment to let me know what you're working on. I hope to see you soon. Have a lovely weekend and happy knitting.